People with a big vision for their life, big goals, big dreams, a big vision, ask this one question over and over again, and that is, what do I want this week to look like? It sounds simple enough to be thinking in those terms. How do I want to plan out my week? But it's really more powerful than you would think. And in a minute, we're going to talk about how I use it and give a specific example of a big difference that it made for me. But why we need it? Well, we often think about our goals and the vision for our life as a one and done kind of a thing. Like we have this vision, this big vision for how we want our life to turn out or things we want to accomplish. And then we think about it, we dream about it, and then we kind of put it aside. But we need to revisit on a weekly, if not daily basis, revisit those goals and get more and more clarity, because life doesn't work like that, a one and done thing, and people don't operate in that way either. Things change, we change, circumstances change, challenges come up, opportunities arise, doors close, things change, and we need to continue to check in and to see and to be aware of whether or not we're still in alignment with what our original vision and dream was in the first place. We need to check in and ask ourselves, are we acting in alignment with that vision still on a daily, weekly basis? Because without that clarity, without that check-in, we can tend to drift, and our brain is in it goes into a loop. And for me anyway, I don't know if I have ADHD or what, but it's like a idea soup in my head. So we need to write stuff down. The habit of, let's say, self-monitoring is a hallmark, actually, of people who are, shall we say, lucky. The Let's see, what was he? A Roman philosopher, I believe, Seneca. He would say that luck is where, let's see, how does that quote go? Luck is where when opportunity meets preparation, preparation meets opportunity, something like that. Luck is when we're prepared enough so that when opportunity comes, we can take advantage of it, is the bottom. It's not how it goes, but that's the meaning of the quote. So the habit, for me, I use a planner. And what that looks like for me is I sit down usually on either a Saturday or a Sunday morning with a cup of coffee, and I'm still kind of groggy, and I pull out my planner and I think, okay, at the end of this next week, what do I want to have done, accomplished? I have a goal, I have a dream, and I want to grow this YouTube channel. What are the things that I want to get done this next week? And I'll write down what I want to have achieved. But what that means is I need to schedule in certain tasks through the week in order to have that happen. So it's being really intentional with my time. And sometimes that changes. We need to be flexible enough to adjust and rearrange our schedule according to the way we want our week to turn out. I have an example. A couple of weeks ago, I did this exercise, my practice of mapping out my week and asking the question, what do I want this week to look like? How do I want this week to turn out? How do I want to look back on this week and feel about it? What do I want to have achieved? Well, a couple of weeks ago, I knew I was going to be having company for a whole week. So I wanted to get ahead on my weekly videos so that I wasn't, stressed about it while I had company in the house. And so I wrote out that I wanted to publish 2 videos, but that means I've got double the work for that week that I normally have. And so I had to look at my planner and schedule in how I'm going to do that. And that brought me back to my word of the year. I don't know if you ever do that, but I've chosen a word that is a common theme for this whole year. And for me this year, the word is ease, because I knew that especially when it comes to making these YouTube videos, I tend to want it to be so good. I want to get creative with the editing. All of that takes so much time. And when I I get in this like perfectionism mode, and they never turn, it's never perfect anyway. And if it isn't perfect, sometimes I won't even publish it. And it just puts the brakes on everything that I'm trying to do. So the word ease for me is like a reminder for how can I keep it simple? How can I make this easy? How can I make it fun? And that's kept me on track. It's actually working. But sometimes I can still get away and get ahead of myself and start thinking, it's got to be perfect. So when I do this weekly check-in, especially when I had doubled the amount of work I wanted to do, and when I rethink about my schedule and how can I make it easy? I want to do 2 videos this week. How can it be easy? And then schedule those things in. Because skipping the check-in, skipping the mapping out my week and making an intentional decision about how I want it to turn out causes me to be more directionless and scattered and wasting time and feeling like I've lost control of my week. But we need to remember that we have autonomy and we need to take it back, because there's so much out there that is asking for our attention. We have autonomy and we need to take back our own, what we give attention to is our choice. Anyway, that changed how I felt about the whole week after that. And I don't I don't have this down pat. I skip weeks. But that's how I know. When I skip it, I feel more scattered and more flustered and more directionless, I think is probably a good word for that. So making it a habit, well, we have to pick a day and just pick a day. For me, the weekend, one day or the other, depends on what's happening during my weekend. One day or the other works best for me because I have time. I'm definitely a morning person. Some people are night owls, but I think best and more creatively first thing in the morning. So one of the days during the weekend works best for me. But you know what? I might have tried, in fact, I did a long time ago. I tried Sunday evening before going to bed, and that never worked out. I just wasn't a good time for me, and I frequently skipped it, didn't do it because I chose the wrong time. So be flexible. Try a time, a day of the week, a time of the day for a week or two and see if it sticks. And maybe you need to adjust that. There's no rules here. It's just whatever works. But when we know that success leaves clues, and successful people who are achieving their dreams, people who are lucky because they are prepared when opportunity arises, they have a plan, they have an intention, they have a goal. Sometimes it might be a practical thing, like a project that you want to start or catch up on, or you might want to follow up on something, make some phone calls or something like that. Or maybe sometimes it's more emotional. When my children were younger, I remember several times when I would think, oh boy, I had a bad mommy day today. I need to do better tomorrow. Well, maybe it's at work. We want to show up better for our fellow coworkers, or maybe there's one coworker that we want to really encourage, or I don't know, it could be anything like that. But a more emotional goal. Maybe I want to experience less stress this week. So you might look at your planner then and go, is my calendar aligning with my goal? Having had company for a whole week, I'm kind of an introvert, so love having people over, and I had a great week. But then when the house is quiet again, I am ready to sort of decompress. So for that week, my plan is to just, schedule extra time and to not cancel or turn down invitations, and prioritize my decompression after having company. And that's okay. In fact, I told some family members that, you know what, I am going to pass because I'm just looking forward to getting my house back to normal, to peaceful. And I just need that time. You don't need permission to say that. So whether your goal, your intention for the upcoming week is to complete a project, start a project, or to just be more chill and less stress, the intention is what matters so that we can align our schedule to it. So here are 5 steps to take to make this a habit. The first one is to just pick a day and be flexible with it. Try another day if it isn't working. The second one is to choose your question. Maybe your question is different from mine. That's okay. Mine is usually, how do I want this week to turn out? What do I want to have achieved this week? That's usually along the lines of my question for myself. It could be, what do I want this week to look like? Who do I want to be? How do I want to show up for others this week? Do I want to be somebody who hits the gym 5 days this week? The first thing is pick a day. The second thing is choose your question. How do you want to approach this upcoming week? The third thing is write it down. There's science behind physically writing not only the question, but the answers. And don't overthink it. This whole thing should take 5 minutes or less. It's just how do I want this week to turn out? What do I need to do to make that happen? Write it down, schedule it in, and make that your intention for the week. Done. And without that, we tend to get in a loop, the bad habit of doom scrolling. And I can tell you that certainly this practice for me has greatly reduced the amount of time that I waste, because my goodness, is it a waste of time to just scroll, 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 scroll. So pick a day, choose your question, write it down, keep it simple and don't judge it. That's the fourth thing. Keep it very simple. So usually there are there's more, but 4 main domains in our lives: health, wealth, self, and social. Do not choose a question for each of those domains, just pick one. And I think most areas of our life fall into one of those 4 categories. But self, do you want to grow this week? Read a book. You're watching this video and I so appreciate it, and I think that this is towards your self growth, and I think that's great. Self health, are you going to hit the gym, eat better, stop doing something, eating something, drinking soft drinks or whatever it is for you, or start paying more attention to your macros, or like I say, exercising more or something like that. Wealth, I have a goal this year too to use my budgeting app better, which I succeed and fail over all the time. But I'm not going to give up, because failing a couple of times doesn't mean it doesn't work. It just means that it's not a habit yet. So I'm still working on that. But self, health, wealth, and social, how do you want to show up for your friends and family this week? Is there somebody that you've been meaning to connect with and just haven't had the time? Maybe that's your priority this week. Social, is there a club or group, something that you've been meaning to look into or apply for, or just show your face again if you've been absent for a while? So just think about kind of those areas of your life, and what is something that you would like to achieve or visit, or give attention to this next week. Write it down. The first thing is pick a day and be flexible. Choose your question, write it down, write down your answers as well. Keep it simple and don't judge it. And then the fifth thing is, let this inform your week. It's not to be militant. It's not to be staunch and controlling. It's not to make you feel like it's another task on your list. In fact, it's the opposite of that. But just let it inform your week, not dictate every single thing that you do. It's flexible. It's a guideline. It's just to live more intentionally, and not just let all of the world's attention grabbing opportunities steal our time, because time we can't get back. And once you do that, do it again. do it again, week after week after week. And please, if you skip a week, if you skip 2 weeks, 3 weeks, don't give up. It's a practice that we have to, it's a habit that we have to train over and over again. Just try again. I skip weeks. I don't have this nailed. Sometimes that I think people think that if we don't nail it, if it's not a habit right away, then we're like, oh, I can't do that. Journaling is that way for me. I tried journaling for a while, and then I skip a whole month, and I'm like, I can't journal. I'm not a good journaler. And then I put it away for a year. That's not how we should approach anything. Anything that is habitual and a practice, just pick it up again. You know, when we're meditating and we try to focus on our breath, and we're human beings, our mind wanders, but the practice is to bring our attention back to the breath. Where our mind is going to wander, we're going to mess up, we're going to skip creating this intention for the week plan. But the trick is to just come back to it. Just come back to the breath, come back to the planner, come back to revisiting your vision and your ambition and your goals. The point is to know ourselves better, to trust ourselves more, to listen and pay attention to our own intuition, to live more intentionally. That's the whole point. And sometimes we'll nail it and sometimes we'll drift. It's all part of the process. So now it's your turn. What do you want? If you want to write what your question would be in the comments below, and what is it that you want for this next week? Please remember that it's not too late. It's just time. It's time to start taking control and autonomy over our lives. I'm Joanna. If this is your first time here, I'm so glad that you found this space. I hope you watched this video all the way through. And I'm so glad that you're here. If you're returning, then welcome back. I'm really glad you're here. It means a lot to me. Think about booping that like button if you would, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.